Now, according to reports, the shooter is associated with Babar Khalsa, a banned pro-Khalistan group, and has links to the Pakistani terror groups and the ISI. Chaura is also considered to have been the mastermind of Chandigarh's 2004 Burel jailbreak case, in which 4 inmates had escaped prison after digging a 94-foot tunnel. He was arrested in 2013 under cases related to UAPA Act and spent 5 years in Amritsar Central Jail. However, he was granted bail by an Amritsar court on Thursday last week and released on Saturday. Now, an assassination bid on a former Deputy Chief Minister in broad daylight has taken place, and there are glaring lapses that have already come to fore. Number one, the Punjab police had intel about him at the Golden Temple premises since yesterday, yet he had not been nabbed by the police at the outset. He was freely roaming around the premises of the Golden Temple. He had been conducting recce's before attempting to assassinate Sukhbir Singh Badal. The second, why were there no checking for weapons at the entrance? And number three, security is deployed according to the threat perception. But while a former Deputy CM is publicly serving as a Sevadar at the Golden Temple, which witnesses a footfall of over 1.5 lakh people daily, if the police knew that an alleged Khalistani terrorist was there, why did the police not think that heavier security was required? And last but certainly not the least, the shooter is a known criminal. He has been charged in the UAPA and is allegedly a Khalistani militant. Why wasn't he being put under surveillance? Now, the Bhagwant Mann-led government has ordered a judicial probe into the assassination bid on Sukhbir Singh Badal, while also calling the incident a bid to defame the government. But leading the charge is Badal's Shiromani Akali Dal, saying that the attack by extremists has Khalistani connections and that it's back of a big conspiracy to push Punjab back into the fire. The BJP has lashed out at the Aam Aadmi Party-led government, saying that their governance has led to a massively deteriorating law and order situation across the state. The Congress and alliance partner at the national level of the Aam Aadmi Party has condemned the incident, has also spoken about how law and order situation in the state has deteriorated over the last few years. The Grand Old Party has called on the Aam Aadmi Party to focus on bettering what they call the Punjab problem.
ਬੰਦਾ ਫੜਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਔਰ ਡੇਰਾ ਬਾਬਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਹਲਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਸੁਖਜਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਰੰਧਾਵਾ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੇਅਰਮੈਨ ਆ ਸੋਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਨਾਮ ਦੱਸੋ ਬੇਟਾ ਨਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਚੌੜਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦਾ ਚੇਅਰਮੈਨ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਸੱਕਾ ਭਰਾ ਆ ਨਰਾਇਣ ਸਿੰਘ ਚੌੜਾ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਇਹਦੀ ਜੁਡੀਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਨਕੁਆਇਰੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹਾਈ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਭਰੋਸਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਚੱਲੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਉਹ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਡ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਕੱਲ ਦਾ ਫਰਾਰ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਭਗਵੰਤ ਮਾਨ ਜੀ ਕਾਹਦੀ ਇੰਤਜ਼ਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਸੀ ਸਹੀ ਮੌਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕੱਲ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੋਕਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਕੱਲ ਦਾ कौन जवाब दे इसलिए मैं पंजाब के डीजीपी साहब ने भी पूछना मैं
जिस तरीके से सुखबीर सिंह बादल पे हमला हुआ है हरमिंदर साहब के अंदर क्या कहेंगे
बहुत गलत हुआ है मैं उसकी निंदा करता हूँ ये नहीं होना चाहिए था हरमिंदर साहब जो सांझी बालता का प्रतीक है वहां तो ऐसी घटना के लिए वैसी जगह नहीं और दूसरा उनको सजा दी हुई है अकाल तख्त साहब के जथेदार साहबान ने और सबने उसको माना है अलग बात है उसके वो क्यों हुई क्यों घटना हुई वो एक चीज अलग है कि जो सजा हुई है लेकिन उसके ऊपर आपको पति है तो आप जथेदार काल तख्त साहब को कह सकते हो लिख सकते हो एक डेलीगेशन मिल सकता है लेकिन कानून हाथ में लेकर किसी को मारने जाना ये बहुत गलत है और निंदनीय है खासकर हरमिंदर साहब के एरिया में जो परिसर है उसके एरिया में यह होना ये बहुत दुख की बात है पंजाब में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वाकई पंजाब में बहुत बुरी हालत है इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं लेकिन जो आज की घटना को उससे नहीं आप जोड़ सकते क्योंकि वो ऐसी जगह पे हुआ है जहां कोई भी नहीं करता कोई हथियार लेके नहीं जाता लेकिन पुलिस ने मुस्तैदी के साथ उनको पकड़ा है बचाया है लेकिन जो पंजाब की हालात को वो वाकई पंजाब में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की स्थिति में चिंता है हमें
सुखबीर सिंह बादल पर अमृतसर श्री दरबार साहब में जो जानलेवा हमला हुआ गोली चलाई गई ये बहुत बड़ी सुरक्षा की चूक है आम आदमी पार्टी ने पंजाब को कोई कानून नाम की चीज छोड़ी नहीं आम आदमी पार्टी जब से पंजाब में आई है डर नाम की चीज नहीं रहेगी गैंगस्टर्स जेलों से राज कर रहे हैं पंजाब जेलों से चलाया जा रहा है और आज कानून व्यवस्था इस कदर गिर चुकी है सुरक्षा इस कदर पंजाब में खत्म हो चुकी है कि एक Z+ प्रोटेक्टिव भी पंजाब में सुरक्षित नहीं है ये आम आदमी पार्टी अरविंद केजरीवाल भगवंत मान की देन है पंजाब को जहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी ऐसे काम की कड़े शब्दों में निंदा करती है, वहीं हम कहना चाहते हैं अरविंद केजरीवाल और भगवंत मान ने पंजाब को बर्बादी की कगार पर लाकर खड़ा कर दिया। कानून व्यवस्था नाम की चीज नहीं रही और जेल का राज है, बंदूक का राज है। पंजाब के अंदर कोई भी अब सुरक्षित नहीं है। बड़े बड़े लोगों को मारा गया है और आज एक और घटना होते होते बची है। आज भगवंत मान और अरविंद केजरीवाल, पूरा देश देख रहा है कि तुमने पंजाब को किस कगार पर लाकर खड़ा किया है।
देखिए, बहुत ही दुखद है, बहुत ही निंदनीय है। श्री अकाल तख्त साहब सिख समुदाय की सबसे बड़ी धार्मिक संस्था है और अगर उन्होंने कोई कार्रवाई की है और उस कार्रवाई को बहुत ही एक पाक तरीके से श्री सुखबीर सिंह बादल उसको क्रियान्वित कर रहे थे, उनके ऊपर हमला करना बहुत ही दुखद है, बहुत ही निंदनीय है और ये भगवान का बहुत शुक्र है कि वो बच गए हैं और इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए और जो भी जिम्मेवार है उसको जल्द से जल्द सजा देनी चाहिए।
Meanwhile, we earlier spoke to Aam Aadmi Party MLA from Ludhiana East, Daljit Grewal, who remained defiant. Grewal said that the attack happened because of personal rivalry and that the law and order across Punjab is fine. Listen in.
इसमें आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार पे सवाल का कोई मतलब नहीं बनता हैगा ਤੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਜੋ ਹੋਇਆ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਗਲਤ ਹੋਇਆ ਵਾ ਪਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਪਾ ਰੱਖੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਖੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਫੈਟ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਗੁੱਸੇ 'ਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਰਤਾ ਪਰ ਇਹ 'ਚ ਲਾਅ ਐਂਡ ਆਰਡਰ ਜਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਆਮ ਆਦਮੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਲਾਅ ਐਂਡ ਆਰਡਰ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਪਰਸਨਲੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਧੱਜੀਆਂ ਉਡਾਈਆਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਧੱਜੀਆਂ ਉਡਾਈਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਪਰਸਨਲੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਦੁੱਖ ਪਹੁੰਚਿਆ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੋਵੇ ਪਰ ਲਾਅ ਐਂਡ ਆਰਡਰ ਦਾ ਇਹ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਲਾਅ ਐਂਡ ਆਰਡਰ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ।
I'm being joined by my guest, PK Jain, former ADGP of Maharashtra, and also I'm being joined by Prabhlot Singh, lawyer and political analyst here. Thank you both gentlemen for joining me. Before I come across to you, let me get a quick update as the latest coming in from my colleague Manoj, who's with us at this point. Manoj, जो शूटर के बारे में और क्या डिटेल्स पता चल रही है, क्या ये एक बात कंफर्म है कि उनकी खालिस्तानी संबंध है?
बिल्कुल, देखिए इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है। इस पर यूएपीए के तहत भी मुकदमे दर्ज थे, एक दर्जन से करीब और भी मामले एक्सप्लोजिव एक्ट के तहत भी इस पर मामला दर्ज है और 2011 में ये अरेस्ट भी हुआ था, जानकारी मिल रही है और पाकिस्तानी कनेक्शन इसका रहा है। खालिस्तानी लिबरेशन फोर्सेस का एसोसिएशन भी माना जाता है कि है, तो इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि जो नारायण सिंह चौड़ा है एक खालिस्तानी आतंकवादी से इसका संबंध था और जिस तरीके से घटना सामने आई है, सुखबीर सिंह को जो हमला हुआ हो सकता है इसके पीछे गहरी साजिश हो। यहाँ पर जो बैठे आतंकी है खालिस्तानी, हो सकता है उनके इशारे पर ये हत्या की जो वारदात है अंजाम देने की कोशिश नारायण सिंह चौड़ा ने की।
All right, Manoj, thank you so much for joining us. Let me now go across to my guest, PK Jain, former ADGP, and Prabhlot Singh, lawyer and political analyst. Let me begin with you, Mr. PK Jain, first. As someone who understands the security framework pretty well, especially in Punjab, this year marks 40 years to the year when gunfire was last heard, unfortunately, at the Golden Temple here. At the end of the day, the facts are undisputable. This is the holiest shrine of the Sikh faith, probably one of the most heavily visited and should be on paper the most secure spot in Punjab. This is one of the most important individuals, someone who has served as a deputy chief minister in Punjab. The accused is someone who has a known track record of terror links, has been charged under UAPA in the past, has just recently been given bail, yet he is allowed to come within feet of this VIP and try and fire a shot at him. Is this not a massive security lapse?
Ritangshu, good afternoon. Thank you very much for calling me on the show. See, I have two things to say on both sides. One is a criminal who has been charged in 12-13 cases, has been charged under UAPA, a Durdant Apradhi, as you may call him. He's been given bail by the court after serving just 5 years in prison. And he's the one who now comes and attempts on the life of the former deputy chief minister. So I don't know, how would the public like to view it as to whether the bail should have been granted or not. Now, coming to the grant of bail, this person being seen yesterday or a day before the incident, being seen in the premises or around the Golden Temple, I think the police should have been a little more careful. Once they had noticed him there, they should have been more careful looking at his background and taken precautionary measures or taken him into preventive custody. There's no second thought about it. Now, they have not taken it in custody, but at the same time, he was, the police were certainly alert when a religious place like this, there are limitations on the police in making a very large deployment of policemen in terms of their uniformed appearance, etc. That's why the people you saw, a number of people were there who were in plain clothes. So there's a little limitation on the police. The place, having seen what it saw in the 80s, that should not have happened again. That's why probably the police are extremely careful. Yet, I think the attempt on his life has been very capably handled, I would say, and the shooter was thwarted before he could even take aim and fire on the deputy chief minister. So I think it's a failure and it's a success.
Well,
both.
there's no doubt.
Failure in terms of not taking him
you're
into
right,
preventive
PK Jain.
custody.
It is a near miss. I mean, it is a near miss, and one must commend the quick thinking of the immediate security personnel who was around Mr. Sukhbir Singh Badal. There you see, who immediately identified that this man was up to something fishy and went forward at great risk to his own life and thwarted that man's attempt at firing. But the fact still remains that why was this man allowed to get so close to a former deputy chief minister in the first place? And why are people wielding guns roaming around near the Golden Temple? Let me go across to Prabhlot Singh as someone who understands the situation in Punjab very closely, Prabhlot Singh. Is this not an inflection of the alarming rise of Khalistani sentiment that we have seen in the last 5 to 6 years? I'm not debating about what has really triggered it and who's fueling this sentiment or which political party is benefiting from it. But the fact still remains that in the last 5 to 6 years, we have seen a separatist sentiment which earlier was just limited to abroad in the diaspora in Canada and the UK and the United States, has now reached a point where law and order is now a serious concern despite what the state government may claim it to be.
Absolutely, Ritangshu. I'd like to highlight here to your point about the sentiment that now we have two separatist MPs in Punjab, as a matter of fact. Two individuals on a separatist agenda managed to win elections. So that talks highly about how things have changed in the last 5 years. Regarding this attack on the Golden Temple premises, I think anybody who tries to justify, I just heard an Aam Aadmi Party politician justifying the law and order situation in the state, saying that this has got nothing to do with law and order. That was laughable, Ritangshu. If this incident, a person with Z plus security is attacked and the government says this got nothing to do with law and order, then we really need to go back to the drawing room to check with them what really is law and order for them. And the things in Punjab are not as simple as they seem to be. Everything is very complex. Starting from who would want to kill Sukhbir Badal, to who would gain from it, to who would gain from keeping quiet, to who would gain from criticizing the attack. Now, all this, there are two sides to each of these things. Who would gain from this attack on Sukhbir Badal? First of all, the attack happens in and around the Golden Temple, which in itself is very sad. I think it's a new low, in the last 20, 30 years. Tell me one incident of firing in and around the Golden Temple. It's sacrilege in itself. People are protesting against sacrilege, but yielding a weapon and firing at someone inside the Golden Temple is sacrilege in itself. So, the government needs to answer what their arrangement was. How come a person who has who was a history sheeter managed to get so close and they're saying they knew about it? That in itself, what is the Aam Aadmi Party trying to gain from it? Are they trying to ego massage a certain quarter? Is that to receive more funding from Canada, US, Australia? What is the agenda really? We need to find out.
Prabhat Singh, I'm going to ask you the next follow-up question with a lot of responsibility. This is not my attempt to sensationalize it. But as someone who has studied to some extent how the entire Khalistani separatist sentiment was birthed in the first place through the 70s and then culminated to the violent peak that we saw in the 80s, do you see a pattern in how you have a regional party at the state intent on benefiting from political sentiments, a central party probably also trying to stoke majoritarian sentiments? Do you see history being repeated in terms of the political situation and how it is juxtaposing with the breakdown of law and order in Punjab?
Yes, Ritangshu, it appears like those in power have learned the tricks of the trade from those who used to be in power in the 80s. It's like those who were in power in the 80s, they really came up with this concept, and those who are in power right now, they have learned the tricks of the trade. So they're like, okay, this is a successful formula. We just need to repeat it. And this is all they're doing. I am 100% sure people who are trying to execute this formula to further strengthen their position on the ground, they're brainless people. This will not take Punjab anywhere, any which ways. Punjab has only, the journey of Punjab has only been backwards since the 80s. We haven't progressed really. The state hasn't progressed at all. And if those in power and those in the opposition and those who are politically relevant and those who are politically irrelevant right now, they think that by playing the same games, they will be able to safeguard their political interest. It's the writing on the wall. Punjab will go to the dogs and it will not help anybody. So here, since the 70s, 80s,
PK Jain, isn't it?
Who do you think gained from the Khalistani movement in the 80s? Did the people gain anything? No.
Yes.
Did the activists who were supposed vocal activists of Khalistan movement, did they gain anything? No. Nobody got anything out of it. Everybody was a loser. Nobody was a winner.
Absolutely. PK Jain, very quickly before I move on, the Punjab was one of the biggest law and order nightmares for the security establishment in the 1980s, even before the Kashmir issue came to the fore. And it took sustained years of great policemen such as Mr. KPS Gill and many others who sacrificed their life to bring that state under control. As a former ADGP, does it not sadden you to see that state, to see all the painful gains that were made, painstaking gains that were made in terms of securing and making that state peaceful again over the last 2 decades being washed away due to blatant political partisanship?
Absolutely, Ritangshu. In the first place, when in the 80s this problem flared up and came to its head, it was a political game. Somebody was propped up politically, and he created so much of problem for Punjab that it became one of the most violent states in the country. And it's not only a question of the people losing their lives in action. A number of people were prosecuted subsequently for the alleged excesses they committed on the people. Now we are seeing the state again slipping back to the same kind of anarchy and limited political gain seeking. And we are seeing the state again dipping in terms of law and order, in terms of security scenario. And unfortunately, it is one of the border states, which is a very, very crucial state for this nation, for this country.
Yeah.
And it is slipping into anarchy. It is slipping into a sense of an absolute, kind of atmosphere of insecurity. It's very, very sad. And it's going to take a very long time if the government is not taking,
No, under normal circumstances, Mr. Jain, under normal circumstances, an attack like today, an assassination attempt like today, would have, in a state where several chief ministers and former chief ministers have been assassinated, would have galvanized the entire security apparatus and the political establishment into action. But so far, as has been evidence, all we have seen is just political blame game and finger pointing, which is very unfortunate indeed. But thankfully,
very
we will hopefully, there is corrective action that is taken and we ensure that this state is secured more, and first and foremost politics comes later on. PK Jain
I
and
hope
Prabhloj Singh, it was a pleasure having you on this important discussion.
Thank you. Namaskar.
On this discussion,
Namaskar.
and we will come to you in prime time also later on today, because this will be the biggest story we will be looking at.